You work.
Yay! Welcome for those that are watching the replay for the Circle for Inner Alchemy's Lunar Eclipse Full Moon in Virgo Moon Circle or Moon Parallel because it's Moonwheel tonight. Moonline.
Yeah, moonline.
I hate this full moon is a doozy. Oh my goodness. How are we
Yeah.
feeling? How are you feeling?
I've been honestly like really depressed recently, and I've been finding new ways to like get out of it, and not necessarily the best of ways, but it's been helping. Um, so I've just been trying to stay really busy and just I've been kind of doing some charity work.
I don't know if I want to
Meaning,
ask.
it's not like anything bad. It's just I've just been like helping people with like money situations,
Oh,
and
okay.
just somewhat to my detriment, but not like I'm not starving, and I'm not like, you know, I could pay my bills, but I've pretty much deleted or depleted my savings helping
Oh
people.
no.
So yeah,
Do you
because
feel good about your charity work?
I do it has helped, like,
Okay.
because this depression hit me like really hard and fast, and I wasn't sure why, and I was like, I don't want to eat myself to death because that's usually what I do is I just eat and eat and eat. So I was trying to find different ways to do it, and basically I just would like find people that needed help financially and would just send them money, and like their uh their reaction to it would like give me some dopamine.
Oh, well, on one hand, yay, good for you. On the other hand, watch out.
But I keep doing it, and it like I'm like getting to a point now. It's like I really need to stop. Like I love being charitable, but like there's a
It's
point to
almost
where
like a retail therapy, it sounds like, except you're not getting
yes,
anything out of it.
exactly. Is that's literally what it is. Just like their reaction to it, and just knowing I help somebody is really helping me. But at the same point, like it could get to a point where it's going to be detrimental,
Yeah.
financially. So I need to like put the brakes.
Yeah. Maybe that's something that you could do like once a month. You do one person versus like,
Yeah,
save up and then deplete, save up and then deplete, that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So that's hard. I was thinking like, because I was like, man, this full moon, looking at the astrology, it is a doozy. And we're
Hmm.
going to talk about it, but like, knock on wood.
Right.
So far, so good for me.
Yeah.
Um, but that, full moons are kind of chaotic in their volatile, what, you know what
Volatile.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
volatile. I said that right. It just
You
sounded
did.
weird to
You
me.
did. Yeah.
I'm just, how you like write a word and it doesn't look right, but it's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
kind of how
yeah.
that felt coming out of my mouth.
Gotcha.
But they're kind of chaotic and volatile. They're like wild cards when it comes to astrology because you really never know how it's going to hit. But they're also the universe's way of doing a reset. And so this full moon eclipse is happening in Virgo. So depending on where Virgo is in your chart is kind of where that's going to show up for you.
My 11th
Um,
house.
it's where
My 11th.
your 11th house. So that's actually, the 11th house is the house of humanitarianism. It's the house of community. It's the house of your
Yeah.
people and your friends and charity and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So right on the money.
Right.
I don't even remember where Virgo is in my chart. Let's see, let me think. I think it's the 9th house for me.
I only could have looked it up right before this. Oh, I know. Could
Well,
have looked it up.
maybe it's the 8th house. I don't remember. I haven't looked at my chart in too long. So, but yeah, depending on where that is in your chart is going to depend on how that might show up for you. And this particular chart, like I'm looking at the chart right now, and well, I was looking at the chart right now, but we've got Mercury in retrograde. It goes into retrograde officially like tomorrow. So as of right now, it's not retrograde, but we're still in the shadow period. So
Yeah.
we're still feeling a little bit of that, kind of stuff that Mars retrograde does. And then Venus is in retrograde as well. And so when Mars is in retrograde, we tend to see issues with communication. We tend to see issues with technology and commerce and things like that.
Do you mean Mercury retrograde? You said Mars twice.
Yeah, Mercury retrograde.
Okay.
Well, Mars was in retrograde up until like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mars was in, or Mars was in retrograde from like beginning of December up until mid-February.
Okay.
And so yeah, but it's Mercury retrograde. Sorry.
Okay.
Thanks for pointing that out, because I was like, yeah.
For the people on the replay, she meant Mercury.
Yeah, for those watching the replay, I meant Mercury. Mercury.
Yeah.
Not Mars. But yeah, Mercury retro, and look, that's communication issue.
Yeah.
Right there. Oh my gosh, yeah, Mercury retrograde, we send communication issues. Mars retrograde, which is what we just came out of, we tend to see more aggressive outbursts, and we tend to see more just people more quick to light that fuse kind of thing and burn it all down.
Yeah.
And to kind of give you an example, I didn't realize it until today as I was thinking about it. One of the bosses at work has been on my case and on other people's cases hard lately. And it started in December. And since, I just realized ever since Mercury went back direct, he has not been as bad. And I'm like, I bet you anything that's what that was. I want to know his chart so bad. Like, I know he's a Taurus. And God damn it, is he not a Taurus? Where everything has to be his way or the highway. The best way to get to him is feed him, that kind of stuff. But I want to know the rest of his chart so bad. But yeah, anyway, Mars was retrograde. Mercury's now retrograde. Venus is retrograde. Venus retrograde, we tend to see more like, it brings up more in the aspect of like our relationships. It brings up more in the aspect of like how we see things, how like it makes us really have to sit and think on whether what's happening in our life, who we are, our relationships and stuff, whether that's showing up the way it needs to show up. And so sometimes with Mercury retrograde, you tend to see higher breakups during Venus retrograde. Oh my God, all these retrogrades. During Venus retrograde, you tend to see more breakups, but it's not because the retrograde itself is not what causes the breakup. The pattern, it doesn't affect you like that. If it's a bad relationship, it's going to end up breaking up or not. It's just that energy kind of brings things to the surface that makes you go, kind of thing. So yeah, there's that. But we also have Saturn that's right there next to the sun. So we've got a lot of not Saturn, Jupiter. Jupiter is right there. So Jupiter is the benefactor. Oh my gosh. Communication, talking. I can't talk or shit. I'm going to blame all my shitty attributes on Mercury tonight. Yeah. Because that's what it feels like. But yeah, we have Jupiter right there on the sun. They're conjunct together on a full moon. So like it really is a wild card because of the fact that we have all these planets like that have come together within like 10 degrees of each other that are really kind of throw their hat in the ring opposing the moon. So we have all these planets, Jupiter, the sun, Neptune, Venus, Mercury, Chiron, all within like 10 or 15 degrees of each other, which granted, most conjunctions are within like 5, one way or the other. Right. But it's still close enough energy to where there's still going to be a little residual. But all of that is opposing the moon, which is what makes a full moon. And just kind of crazy. Some of the key words on this is about like old things popping up, old feelings popping up. It's kind of a little too late, or a little too soon, too little too late, kind of thing. And it could really like either push us forward into good things or push us back into like just old habits, which maybe that's what's happening for you. For me, I feel like my old habits is that I'm like procrastinating a little more than I normally do. But that's just those are my flaws, not the planets. You know. So, but basically like it's going to be really important to just kind of sit and the more that you can let things flow, because I talk about this every eclipse season, the more you can let things flow, the more you can let things go. The more you let things go, the more that you can grow, my little Dr. Seuss aspect of it. And it's important that we, I always say, like, we don't typically manifest during eclipses because it is such a wild card. If that's what you want to do, though, you do you. Because it's such a wild card, manifesting through that could really push things forward for you.
Right.
But because it's a wild card, manifesting through that could really be like shut shit down for you too. And it's kind of how you perceive it. It's not in regards to the actual magic in it itself. So, but the best thing to do is to just continue working on yourself and continue like, doing the thing and like when things happen, being like, okay, well, let's see what the universe is trying to teach me versus, oh my God, it's all burning down, which is how I normally get. Like, that's my first thought is, oh my God, it's all burning down. Which it really that actually leads me into something I want to talk about. Because I was cleaning out old photos. Like, how I screenshot everything, or I save all this shit and stuff. A picture popped up as I was scrolling through photos where, oh my gosh, is this not going to pull up? Where I had written something down, and I remember writing it, but I don't remember why I would because this is from 2022. So 2.5 years ago, because it was October 2022.
Okay.
2.5 years ago. I'm trying to get it to load so that I can freaking read it to you. Fucking Mercury. I am blaming Mercury so hard because I'm like, really? Really? This was working just fine 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. Oh my gosh. Man, if I actually edited these videos, I'd be like, here's where I would clip this out. But I don't. So you get the rough draft always.
Right.
I don't know why this is not loading, but basically it was if it loads, I'll read it to you, but it was basically talking about how it's time to let people go. And it's it's okay to grow in separate ways. And, intuitively, I feel like this and this is happening, kind of thing. And that I wrote that down in October of 2022. All hell broke loose with my friends and my family in December of 2022.
Yeah.
And so it really was a kind of foreshadowing, not yes and no, because in August of 2022 is when certain things started popping off. Like, is when things really started to downfall. But in this particular piece, it wasn't until December when things really. Okay, so it came up, and this is what I wrote: inner circle shifting organically, a moment where information has been withheld or will emotionally impact will find that it was all necessary. Let them go to grow in better directions. May feel like I've been left out, but that's what I need to get me. That's what I need to get me to where to go. Intuitively, I won't see it coming. Lots of call to work outside of myself. Women's group, share circles, physically showing up, external spiritual experience. These are all things that I wrote in October of 2022. And now, fast forward 2.5 years, we have the circle for inner alchemy. The very first two words was inner circle.
Yeah.
Right? Shifting organically. Alchemy is a shift, right? How crazy is that? Hindsight's 2020, right?
Crazy.
Women's groups, shared circles. I wrote shared circles, and look where, like, you know, but this is all to say, like, everything that shifted in the last 2.5 years, is there still a sadness? Of course. But I feel more like I'm getting more into myself. Not that I was never inauthentic, or not that I wasn't being authentic, but it was more along the lines of like, we'd been working together and had molded ourselves to each other in a way that it was time to shit or get off the pot, basically.
Yeah.
And that a lot of the things that happened were not fun. And I want to say, I wonder, because that was October. I wonder when let's see. I wonder when the eclipses for 2022 happened. They happened in November, like early November. So like 2 weeks later, not quite, maybe 3 weeks later after I wrote that, the eclipse happened in Taurus. And let me see if there was one in October. Yeah, there was a solar eclipse 7 a week later after I wrote that. And that was in Scorpio, which happens in my 10th house, a public persona house, basically. How interesting. About the pattern, how that works, right? How interesting that I wrote that, and a week later we had a solar eclipse, and within the month, all hell broke loose for me.
Right.
And I didn't correlate that because I wasn't really, I mean, even though we've been doing these like moon circles for a while, that's where hindsight's 2020, you know?
Yeah.
But it's definitely, because you've been with us since 2023.
Yeah.
So I didn't even start these moon circles until like June of 2023.
Okay.
So that was even before I was like looking at the astrology the way that I look at it. So I definitely wouldn't have paid attention in regards to all of that. But yeah, interesting how all that works.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But it's just really, really wild to think about that. And I wish I knew where I wrote that, because it's just a screenshot of a physical piece of paper. So I know the screenshot date that I took it, you know, because I have the details on when the picture was taken. But I'm like, what was that? What was that from? I'm like, where's my books? Where did I put this? Did I stash this somewhere? Did I throw it away? I don't remember. But it's crazy to think about all the things and how I sent it to my friend Sarah, and she was like, you manifested it. I'm like, did I manifest it, or was that just a premonition of the things that, you know, it could be both.
Yeah, it could be both. To me, when you was reading it, I thought it was almost like, what's that called when intuitives, they're just like bringing in information. Yeah, channeling, and they just start writing. That's what kind of the feeling I got from it was that, you know, it was like you were channeling something, and you may not known what it meant in the moment, but you're just like, okay, well, let me save this for later because it may make sense.
I'm almost positive that's what I was doing.
Right.
I'm almost positive that I was sitting and I was writing. I was either trying to channel, or I was talking with somebody and writing goals or something.
Okay.
I don't remember. I wish I could remember. And I'm sure it's in a book somewhere because I write that shit down and I stuff it in a book
Right.
if I don't write it in the book itself. So who knows? But kind of crazy. But think about, we had our last eclipse was in August, I think, of last year. Let me see. Let's think back where we were during the last eclipse. Let's see. August, no. When was the last eclipse? I'm just going through the months because I'm like, somewhere. Oh, September. Yeah, so September and October of last year. Like the first one was mid-September, the last one was the very beginning of October. So think about where we were last September and October and what's changed since then. What kind of radical change, chaotic change have we had in the last 6 months?
For a while there, I completely, my mindset shifted towards like being really health conscious. It's kind of shifted back now, but I'm not nearly as bad as I was. But for a while there, I was really strict on myself, and I had some goals in mind, and I met a lot of goals, but also kind of something else shifted, and then I just don't care as much right now. But that was the biggest thing for me, was uh, being able to stick to something for like 6 months and see some losses from that, weight
Right.
losses and stuff like that. That was the biggest thing for me.
Was there anything that major happened in September, October for you? Like late September, early October that you could think of? I'm trying to think for me.
Yeah, nothing's
I
really
have to
ringing
like
a
look at my
bell.
calendar to see what I was doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, nothing like sticks out.
Yeah, nothing sticks out for me either.
But I kind of been really thinking of that quote again about, are you healed or are you just like so isolated you're no longer triggered? That it's like now I'm kind of starting to think like all this time I thought I've like been not healed, but I've been healing. But really, have I just put myself in a position where I can't be triggered?
But it could be
And
both. You could be
yeah,
I have watched you heal. So don't try to sweep that accomplishment under the rug. You know what I mean?
right.
But does that mean that you're totally healed? No, my light is like dying. So sorry for bad lighting. That's what I get for not charging it. But yeah, like you can still be healing and still have
Yeah,
triggers. I am still healed. I am not the same person I was 2.5 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. And I
right.
think that reflects in some ways where I don't have the same friends groups that I
Yeah,
did. And in some aspects, maybe that's great because we did grow apart. In other aspects, maybe that's not so great because of my downfalls, you know?
yeah,
But I still get triggered. But the
yeah,
biggest thing on healing is when you get triggered, because we talk about this in the shadow class, is what is the universe trying to teach me with this trigger? Where is this coming from? Coming with that, instead of being hard on yourself for getting triggered, you're looking at it from the eye of curiosity.
right.
But I know that I feel like this is how our group is. This is why we meet virtually versus like in person.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm trying to change this for 2025. But I also feel like I don't like being around people I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't like being in crowded places. One, and energetically, I'm so sensitive to energy,
Yeah.
like to being in crowded places where it's a hodgepodge of likes, dislikes, and things like that. And that's not saying that I can't find the right people, but there's a difference when you say show up to a concert. You know, everybody is like-minded because you're all like the same music.
Yeah, yeah,
But that doesn't mean that everybody thinks the same way. And
right.
that's a little different than going to, like, say, some club where you're just, it's just
Yeah,
a mixing pot of freaking babies because they're like 20
yeah,
and 21 and
right, right,
when I'm almost 40, I'm like, oh, I can't do
right.
this because they're not like-minded in the sense of like a concert. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, makes perfect
And
sense.
so it's hard for me to want to go out to meet new people because my thought process is like, well, I don't know where to meet people without spending a lot of money for like concerts or something.
Right,
Money I don't have in this economy. Not
right,
no, you know. But I am looking at other ways to like. I really want to try and focus on bringing community back together because we need community more than anything. And I've talked about it, but I haven't put it into action yet.
right.
And I don't know why I'm stuck on some dot. And I don't know if you've ever heard that term where you're stuck on the dot, where you're trying to make a plan, but you're stuck on dotting that I versus
Oh,
versus
okay,
finishing the project kind of thing.
okay. Yeah,
You get stuck on the dot. And when you get stuck on the dot, then things just they just don't happen. And I don't know why I'm stuck on that dot. A lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't have consistent, affordable uh locations, like
right.
public
Yeah,
locations,
yeah,
and as it's getting warmer, that can change because I can be like, hey, let's meet at this park, or hey, I've looked at other places, um, but they charge money, and I want the paid events, but I also want the free events where we can build that community, and I
yeah,
can't be affording to dish out 40 and $50 once a week or
yeah.
a couple of times a month.
Right.
And not that I couldn't crowdsource that with the community, I just that's where I get stuck on the dot. I'm like, how to do this in a way to where more people can be involved and it not matter on money. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I'm basically trying to bring it back to where when the Fat Life first started, it was about the community building, and it's always been about the community building. But I think that some things got away from me and in other aspects, which it happens. That's how growth works.
yeah, yeah,
You have to try things. You have to trial and error and all that stuff, and it kind of depends. And there are aspects from those trials and errors that I love and I'm moving forward with, but there's also aspects that got lost in the wash that I'm like, wait, where did we get here? Like, how do we bring that back, kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And so that's kind of what you have to think about, because you were talking about, like, am I healed or am I just isolating myself? And it
Right.
can be both. It can totally be both. And that's just a prime example.
Yeah, I kind of
Um,
been thinking like because I've the issues I was having and what was triggering me, I've not had to deal with it since then. So I've often thought to myself like, well, how would I react now if I was put in that position again? And I would hope that have learned enough to where I would never put myself in that position again, or
yeah.
um, but my kind heart, likes to be too kind sometimes, and but and the lessons that I learned from this last event, maybe that's not everything I needed to learn. Maybe I believe everything happens for a reason. So I believe all that happened to teach me something. And who knows, maybe there will be another event that I need to learn from for whatever reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that goes for everybody.
Yeah.
And giving yourself compassion and grace to say, I'm still healing and it's okay,
Yeah.
is really important. I also think that, I don't know how you feel, but for me, I want to step outside of my comfort zone and do new things, but I'm comfortable,
Right. Oh, the Taurus in me, the double Taurus. If I never had to leave my house, I mean, I'd be okay. I mean, I do like going out and doing stuff, but what's really getting me is this is my personal year number one, and it's really I kind of feel myself isolating a bit more than even more than I usually am, and to where like I dreaded going and hanging out with somebody the other day, and even though I hadn't seen them in a while, I was like I kind of don't want to go, but a part of me would have regretted it because of how they would have felt if I canceled. Because I wouldn't have had a good in probably in their mind a good reason. If I just called and said, "Hey, I'm just not feeling it," it probably would have hurt their feelings. So, but
But
I feel like I'm isolating a bit.
yeah, but on that thought process though too is, were you not feeling it because that person is not bringing what you need into your life? Is it more of an energy sucker, or is it are they filling your cup,
Yeah,
or are they emptying your cup?
yeah,
And
and that's something I've been struggling with. Is
because
it?
you show up to these every single week, or
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't ever miss, and I would hope that if you just weren't feeling it, that you would feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, I can't be on, and know that I would never
right.
be like, come on, Will,
Oh, right, right, yeah. It's just I don't know. I think it's just where I've had so much going on, and I've not had a lot of just me time.
hmm
And because I moved my mom, and then I had a bunch of other stuff going on, and then I've not really had a lot of time to just be me and just sit and just reflect and you know think and then like I had a free weekend coming up, and then I had made plans, and the closer it got, I was like, man, I really wish I hadn't made any plans. I really wish I would just have a weekend to just do nothing.
yeah,
And I went through with the plans, and I had a great time, but I did it more for them than I did for me
yeah,
because I mean I had a great time, but I could have just stayed at home.
right. And I get
Yeah,
that, and that's kind
yeah,
of, I feel like, this, with it being like, we talk about the numerology and it being a 1 year for you. You have to kind of find that balance between
yes,
prioritizing yourself always,
yeah,
but also making sure that you're not isolating yourself to where you miss out on the people that you really enjoy, like you get excited to see,
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of aspect to it.
exactly. And I don't want to become a hermit, but at the same point, I don't want to be put in situations to where because I'm not great at hiding my feelings and emotions, and so I don't want to be put in situations where I'm like bringing down the vibe because I really just want to be home.
Yeah,
But also
absolutely.
I don't want to let people down and be like, well, he don't ever want to do anything anymore. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I just, I'm just not in the mind space to want to be around a lot of people or even travel. So I just, I don't know. If it's happening for a reason, I just haven't figured it out yet. And maybe it's, maybe it's the universe telling me you just need to slow down and take some time for yourself. Uh,
I mean, it could very well be that. It could also
yeah.
be, you know, it could be a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it could be so many things. It could be your shadow showing up. It could be the fact that you need to sit down and maybe do some more inner work.
Yeah.
Not necessarily shadow specific, but like just being more mindful on things. It could
Yeah.
be a matter of reflecting on what your life looks like and who's in it and who needs to stay and who needs to go. Hopefully I stay. Uh, that kind of stuff.
That's
And
exactly what I watched a TikTok video earlier, and that's exactly what they said that this eclipse means for people with Taurus in their big three. Is that this is a time that, and this has kind of been going on a little bit before, but like it's like the time you're really going to think about your circle and who's in it and who do you want to still be in it, and if it's advantageous for you to be around the people you're in, and and the thing is, my circle's already so small. Like, I don't have.
But that's not saying to make your circle smaller.
Right.
That's saying like who's taking up space that's preventing other better people to be there.
Right. Yeah. So.
And you just rolled your eyes, like, of course.
No, I mean, I get it.
Calling you out,
true.
sir.
Yeah, I'm just like. The thing is, like, I don't know where I'm going to meet these new people. I mean,
well, that's why I'm trying to do more things in the community.
Right. The closest I've gotten to meeting somebody new is that there's a cute guy that works at this hippie bowl food stand that I go to Tuesday and Thursday, or Tuesdays and Fridays, and I try to make conversation with you.
That's still more than I've done. So
I'm just like, they're people at work like, you really like those hippie bowls. It's like, I like them, but the cute guy that makes them is what really brings me to them.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Because I'll go there tomorrow. They'll be close tomorrow, and so I'll take my lunch break and I'll go get a hippie bowl.
Yeah, well, and also when you go to the same place often, you make friends, and those friends can give you employee discounts.
Right. Yeah, very true.
You never know. Like, I think that it's just a matter of like just making sure you're showing up for yourself and not falling into the habit of just bed rotting, or, you know, just to bed rot, which is something that I do sometimes. Like, and I've tried really hard not to do that so much in the last week or two. But I can't say that in the last couple of months that it's not been bad. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of where, like, I know that it's bad as far as how much I'm doing that, but it's the act of making that change.
Yeah.
And I think with spring here and it getting warmer, that helps a lot, because I'm like, oh, I want to be outside, like, you know, kind of thing. So
I'm kind of curious about how much of this has been seasonal depression too. It's just like, now that the sun's
mine
out,
too, yes.
yeah. So I've been walking a lot more. You know, we have some sidewalks around, and whenever I'm like in between projects at work, I'll literally just go outside and walk and make a lap, and then come back and and get back to work instead of sitting or playing on my phone. Just trying to soak in some nature and not listen to the gossip and bring in more negative. I'm trying to just release, and bring all that in. So a lot of it could just be the whole seasonal depression thing. And it just hit me really hard this year, and harder than it ever has. And I feel in a way a bit guilty about it, because on paper, like, I'm doing fine. Like, I almost feel like I shouldn't have a reason to be depressed, but in a way I am. Like, I'm not happy. I mean, in a lot of places I should be, but I don't know.
Well, it's also too, like, give yourself some grace, because even though on paper it might look like everything's fine, but the world is burning, especially here in the US. We're in a dumpster fire, and the amount, like, I know that it's harder for you being openly LGBTQ, and that's kind of the atmosphere is like, whoa, destroy. And I'm like, I, being straight passing and everything, and a white cis woman, I don't have to face the same type of stuff, but that doesn't mean that I'm not sharing the shit out of things, or I'm not know. And so the amount of rage, I'm laughing so that I don't kill anybody. Because some of my closest friends and many of my favorite people are all they're all under attack right now. And that shit pisses me off. Like, that shit makes me want to just burn things and hit people. And that part of that emotional piece of it, part of that emotional, like, anger, and it's also falls back into sadness, because I feel like there's nothing I can do. And then add into the seasonal depression stuff, and add into other things that are happening that in our world that has me up in arms, kind of stuff. like it weighs on you. Because I mean, if you were to look at my shit on paper, I'm good as gold,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
don't feel good as gold. So
Yeah.
I feel like more like what is it? Dull brass. That's what I
Right. Yeah.
think. You
Yeah.
know?
It's like I just think about like how, in a lot of ways, how fortunate I am. It's like, then why do I have a reason to be sad? Or, it's like there's people who would kill to be in my position, and that's why I've been trying to like reach out and help other people. So that, I guess, it's like kind of take some of the guilt away. It's like I've been immensely blessed, but I've also worked very hard for what I have. But so it's like, why am I depressed when I've worked really hard and I've gotten this far with all the hard work I've done and with some luck and just blessings, but then I try to help people, and it makes a difference for them, and who knows for how long. But
Right.
just
But it's okay, like it's okay to feel those feelings, even, and like let that guilt go, because
right.
even even though you're doing better than others, that doesn't negate your feelings. It doesn't negate the things that are happening around you. It doesn't
Right.
negate how people are treating you or anybody else,
Yeah.
that makes you feel the way that you feel.
Yeah.
And holding on to guilt for that is hurting nobody but yourself.
Yeah. Oh, just
And that actually, not to transition into our shadow card, but
yeah.
that's our saboteur card that we
Yeah, it
pulled last
is.
time.
It is. Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, it really is. It's definitely sabotage. Um, but I can't just turn it off. I can't just magically feel better. So I try to find ways to make myself feel better. And, this time, instead of like running to the kitchen or ordering a bunch of food, I just wanted to make people happy, but also not go anywhere. So honestly, I've been gifting people on TikTok. Like, if they have a Cash App, if they have a PayPal,
That's
or
awesome of
sometimes,
you.
sometimes I know TikTok takes like 50 something percent of it, but sometimes like I'll just send them like a gift on there. And they had those gift galleries, and one guy was on there. He didn't have very many followers and didn't have very many people in there, but I filled up his gift gallery, which is like, it's like 20-30 bucks to do that. So, and he got like half of that. And he said, "Oh, I appreciate that so much." He said, "But I really need some money for food. Like, I've not ate in a couple of days." Now, granted, this is what he says. I can only take the information that was given to me,
Right.
but my conscience was like, you know, send this guy some money. So I just like
Right.
PayPal'd him some money, and like, I hope you get what you need, and it made me feel good, to help somebody like that. But um, I found myself doing it more and more, and it's like I can't keep doing this, but I also feel some kind of, in a way, responsibility because I have been so blessed. Um, and then like that same guy, like a couple of days later, like he messaged me and like asked me for more money. And it's just like I didn't have it at the time,
Yeah.
because I'd already depleted what I could, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like I was honestly ashamed that I couldn't help him, so I didn't even read the message. I just saw the message and saw the beginning of it. And I was like, I'm not even going to open it because I don't want
Yeah.
him to see that I opened it and then ignored it. And I don't want to be like, I did the word to type out the words. I can't do it would have hurt me like mentally
Yeah.
because I wanted to help so bad, but I just couldn't at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. But it also, that's that's on him too, and
Right,
not
right,
on you. And you can't be funding people. It's cool, like, to be like, here, I gave you this, but it's also a mindset piece too. Like, if I said to somebody like, oh my gosh, I am so broke, I don't have anything, and you shared money with me,
right,
my mindset, I would not ask for more from you, because
right.
like, I don't know if that was your last dollar or not. You know, because
Yeah,
sometimes
and
people do that. They give them
I'm not rich by no means at all. I just
right,
had been saving up and had some savings. It's like this is being more beneficial for me than me buying extra food and eating and eating and eating. Um, but
yeah,
yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like I don't know if that person, if his intentions were truly like I really need help, or if I found somebody I can potentially take advantage of too, you
right,
know. And I've one in the past. I'm a person who has been taken advantage of in that way, where I had such a kind heart. I see somebody who needs some help, but then it goes on, and next thing you know, like they really didn't need the help. They're just lazy and don't want to help
right,
themselves.
right. And there are con artists that's their whole MO is they do
Yeah,
that. But again, give yourself grace because you having an open heart with empathy does not make you a bad person. Them scamming and conning other people do. And when it
yeah,
comes to judgment day, they will be judged no differently than you will be judged. And your
yeah, yeah,
actions on that will speak higher than their actions,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, there was a guy here at work who brought it up. He's like, "Well, what if they're like using that money for whatever?" And I was like, "That, I mean, that's not on me. Like, my conscience is clear. If they decide to use the money for something different than what they asked me for, I can't dictate what they use it for. I
Right.
hope they use it responsibly, but you know, uh, but in my mind, I did what I could do to help this person who needed assistance. I can't
And that's
dictate
all
what
you
they
can
use with
do.
the money. Yeah, so yeah, it's because I mean, I try to see the best in people, but I'm 36 years old. I've seen some pretty messed up people who just love taking advantage of people, and I've been taken advantage of so many times that sometimes I just like ignore all the red flags and then just leap and then try to help everybody I can, and then next thing you know, I'm once the help stops,
You're
the
treated badly because you're no longer the
yeah,
hand that feeds. And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
shadow too. That's shadow. Like, I love that you want to help everybody, but when you do it to a detriment, that's your shadow fucking things up. And you have
yeah,
to watch that too.
yeah.
So,
Like I was so proud of myself for having a savings, and now I don't because I gave it all away.
yeah. But the affirmations are more money flows to me,
Yeah,
freely.
yeah,
Money is always on its way. I
yeah,
can trust that I have everything I need when I need it for as long as I need it for. And your savings will come back. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. That's one thing too. He's like, well, he said, the whole thing, like, what if they're using it to buy drugs? I was like, I can do what I can do, and then the best I can hope for is that the karma comes back to me in some way, form, or fashion. I know that anything I need will come to me, and I'll be abundant, and I won't have to need for anything because I believe that. But at the end of the day, I can only do what I can do with my intentions.
Right.
My intentions is not for them to go buy drugs or do whatever,
Right.
but my intentions is for them to feel that love from a complete stranger and know that the world's not shit and
Right.
that there are good people in the world who will help you and not want anything from you, and that everything's going to be okay.
Right.
That's the
Good on
main
you.
part of it.
I love that about you. So, like, don't change that, but
I
also
don't
keep
plan
your
on it.
boundaries.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I have to keep that boundaries. Like, kind of makes me want to stay off TikTok because if I see somebody who's like, because some people go on there and they say like, help me feed my kids, or my car broke down. I need have money. It's like it pulls at my heartstrings. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't give to everybody.
Right.
Even though I'd love
And
to be
that
able
just feeds
to.
the algorithm. So the more you watch that kind of stuff, the more you're going to get
Yeah,
it. And then you're
yeah,
like, and then you end up falling in down this rabbit hole of despair because you see all these things and then you feel like you can't help. So that's
yeah,
another
yeah,
aspect to it that you have to watch out for.
yeah, yeah. I know.
Well, just know that I love you. Just hang tight in this eclipse.
I would do my best.
I will see you at our shadow class, not next week, but the week after.
I need to buy a ticket for that. I have not done that
Oh,
yet.
oh, I thought you already had your ticket.
No, I
I just
hadn't.
assumed. I'm
I just
sorry.
hadn't done it yet. Yeah, I need to.
I mean, if you don't want to come, that's okay too.
No,
But
no, I wanted
I
to.
think it's a good class.
I just hadn't done it yet. Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Share with your friends, and
Okay.
I will hopefully see you soon.
Okay. See you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
There's my hearts.
I love it. I don't know how to do that, but I love it. Bye.
Bye.